Hello everyone and welcome back to Superboy Beyond, and we are continuing with the Abandoned Earth Escape to Earth two-part episode, which co-starred George Lazenby and Britt Ekland. So yeah, as Jor-El and Lara, it's a pretty great episode just for that alone. But yeah, we're not going to talk too much now. We're just going to get straight into it. But if this is the first time you've watched one of our commentaries, you're not going to hear any of the audio from the episode. You will see a very heavily filtered version up there in the middle. That's purely so you can keep in time with us. But hopefully you already know that, because presumably you've already watched part one of this commentary. So
yep.
Yeah. Get your DVDs ready. We'll count you in with a 3, 2, 1 play. And just hit play when I say 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah, so we didn't actually rank the episode. We didn't give it a rating last week. We'll just do both parts at the same time.
Yep.
So yeah, last week, previously on Superboy, he was tricked into going aboard an alien starship so he can be a prisoner in a zoo, which is always a fun sci-fi concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe Star Trek has done it a couple of times, and I know the Orville had an Alien Zoo episode as well, which was pretty good. So yeah, back to Superboy. Oh, and I've just recapped the episode, forgetting, of course, that they have their own recap. Never mind.
You gotta love Stuart Whitman's eyebrows.
They are huge eyebrows, aren't they? You know, a couple of weeks ago when I did my rewrite of Phantom of the Third Division, that was just the primary thing that I was casting the young Jonathan Kent on, was just he needs to have Stuart Whitman's eyebrows, or at least an indication that you can see how, as he aged, the eyebrows became like that. But then I've seen pictures of Stuart Whitman as a young man. He always had massive eyebrows, so you can't even blame it on the age thing. Because they do say that, don't they?
Just
as you get older, your eyebrows, your nostril hairs, your ear hairs, they all get bushier as you get older.
Yeah. Just watching this recap, I just realized something. When the door to Andy and Clark's dorm room flies off, she's not standing behind it and then walks in. She's standing off to the side and then walks in. So how in the heck did she knock the door down if she wasn't behind it?
Yeah, I guess she had her hands out and sort of blow like that so she gets the angle, bounce back. No, yeah, you're right. It doesn't make any sense. I guess it's just one of those things. I don't know why they didn't have her standing on the other side.
Yeah, it should have also.
Maybe if she was standing on the other side of the doorway, it would have been hidden.
Yeah, like I said, it should have also led us to believe that she wasn't who we thought she was.
Yeah, bit of telekinesis going on. Yeah, there was a little bit of lag with our thing. I'm noticing my internet connection is getting weak, so fingers crossed you can still hear me okay, but there may be a slight delay when Chris and I are talking, which is why occasionally I may interrupt by accident.
But if Tom, you do black out, I will pick up the slack like I always do.
Yeah, I won't stop playing the episode, so we should still be in time when I do get back, if I do drop out at any point.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, do you think it is the same wig that Marlon Brando had to wear? Because it wouldn't surprise me if the Salkinds just held on to it for years.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they held on to it, but it does not look the same. It looks more gray than his did. His looked white.
Yeah. I was just wondering because stuff like that. If you don't maintain them, maybe it would have puffed up a little bit more. Maybe the color would have changed slightly. Who knows? But no, you're probably right. It's
Yeah.
probably not the same one.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
likely just the white wig that they put the curl in.
yeah, I can see, the color changing a little bit, but his was straight on white and this has gone absolutely gray.
Mm.
So I don't think it's the same wig. I think it's one that they styled to look like it, and they were working with what they had.
And I've got to say, I don't like the alien design in this episode. I never thought it looked very good. I don't think the faces move in any way realistically as they're talking.
You got to remember these are body suits that they're wearing over their true form.
Yeah, but I mean, part of me just wishes that he'd shown that they're not Jor-El and Lara, but then gone immediately back into the Jor-El and Lara thing. I don't think we needed to actually hold on them at all.
Yeah.
Like this could
the
just
design
be
of the design of the bodysuit from the neck down looks great.
Yeah, I don't mind the bodysuit. It's just the face. It just looks. They remind me of the bad guy from Star Trek. Is it Insurrection? The one with the planet where it's the Fountain of Youth parallel.
Yeah, the Son-Ah.
Yeah, and you've got the main bad guy in that, and he's got the stretched face. It looks like these guys basically look like a worse version of that. And
these predate the Son-Ah.
Yeah. I do wonder whether they actually made George Lazenby and Britt Ekland put on that stuff, because they're the same height. So they might have actually made the actors wear that stuff. Whereas, if I was directing, I probably would have just got a body double in for that stuff. Considering, that we changed the voice on them entirely anyway.
Yeah.
It is odd as well. I noticed when we first started watching this episode a minute ago, it's not the same director doing this one. Whereas most two-parters, they kept the same director for both parts. I wonder why they didn't with this one. It's
who was directing this part?
Let me just see. I'll just check and confirm. This one is Andre R. Gutfrund. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. I think it's a German name, but I'm never good with German pronunciations. But yeah. And he's directed I think he's directed another episode, because the name does look vaguely familiar, but
yeah, I know he has directed other episodes. I think maybe they went with him for this because it was more action oriented, and Richard J. Lewis is better with dramatic stuff. Because we needed a good dramatic hook.
Yeah, I've pulled up the guy's credit list. He directed 4 episodes in total, including obviously this one, Brimstone, Revenge from the Deep, and a woman called Tiger Eye. So
2 really bad ones,
2 really bad ones, and 2 really good ones. Which is, I guess it goes to show, a director's only as good as his script. I always like that effect. It's very simple, but that's all you need. Just a little indication that there's a force field stopping him flying up. I thought, I always liked that.
Plus, I mean, that whole sequence when he's trying to use his telescopic vision and it just keeps kind of glitching. It proves that they are essentially on a holodeck.
Yeah, I suppose if he was to try and use his telescopic vision, he would basically just be looking at pixels. Really.
Yeah.
Then again, alien tech, maybe they've got the next stage of megapixel and it's just, what's that thing they used to say with phones when they updated and they had the smaller pixels, like retina displays or something?
Yeah.
maybe aliens have got like a retina display that's like 10 times more powerful. So either way, they're clearly a lot more technologically advanced than Superboy's used to going up against. I mean, they'd have to be, you know. If you're going to try and capture a Kryptonian to keep in your zoo, you're going to have to be pretty advanced just if you think you have any chance at all of keeping him there.
Yeah. And I mean, this moment here is such a great character moment between Clark and Lana. I mean, yeah, she's still pissed off at him because he's been lying to her, but she's sort of kind of understanding.
Which is why, you know, part of me is glad that she doesn't remember at the end of it, purely because it would have changed the nature of their relationship in the show for the next 2 seasons. But at the same time, part of me really wishes she could remember, just because I think it would be interesting for Clark to have an ally that actually knows his identity.
Yeah,
it's something that I did enjoy in Smallville. You know, Clark at a certain point, he had friends that knew his identity, were protecting his secret, and were sort of, you know, his backup. You know, Chloe had the whole hacking ability thing where she was basically Watchtower. Or, you know, their version of Oracle, I guess. I kind of wish Clark had something like that, because he goes the entire show and only Mar and Parr are the only ones that know. Like, it might have been nice if, you know, TJ or Andy had found out, you know. Did Pete Ross know Clark's identity in the comics?
Yes.
Or was that just... Okay.
Pete Ross knew his identity in the comics.
I think he'd known for like a year before Clark found out he knew, though, didn't he?
No,
so I vaguely remember.
Clark didn't find out that Pete knew for years.
Oh, wow.
Pete kept it a secret because, you know, he wanted Clark to, you know, be able to trust him. So he keeps the secret even from Clark that he knew. But he also acted, he would act in such a way that he would cause things to happen. Say, "Oh, Clark, I just spilled paint all over the floor. Can you run out to your father's store and get some paint thinner?" You know, he would give Clark excuses.
But what was that issue as well, where Pete was in the audience? I think was it a sports game or something, or was it just like I don't know? He was in the audience for something with someone else that also knew the identity, and they both work out that they
Secret Years.
Right, yeah, that's why I know it then, because that's one of the things you recommended to me. But yeah, that was kind of cool when they sort of work out that both of them know. It's a nice little moment.
Yeah.
And this guy's name is it Slud?
Yeah, Slud.
Slud, something like that, yeah. I always liked this character. I know we say it pretty much every episode, but Stacey's putting in such a performance here, like, just fantastic. You really believe that she's just seen a friend die.
Is it just me, or does this guy look a little bit like Michael J. Pollard?
He's got a little bit of that going. Like, it's almost you can almost imagine this guy playing Mixus Pitlick in an episode. He wouldn't be terrible in the role, actually. I think I could quite happily watch him play that. And I'm just thinking while I'm watching this, it's almost a shame because Superboy makes so many friends and allies across the show, and almost none of them ever return. It's a shame that characters like this couldn't reappear in episodes like West of Alpha Centauri or something, another spacey based episode.
Yeah.
It could be cool if the reason Superboy's there is because Slud has asked for his help or something. Yeah, I always think with characters like this, it's almost a shame we never saw them again. I mean, I wouldn't say he's one of the best characters in the show or anything. He's just, I like him enough that I would have quite happily seen him return another couple of times.
I will say though that moment just now when he puts his arm out is a little.
Mm. And I always laugh when I watch this episode because Britt Ekland, the way she pronounces the name Slud, it does sound like she's just repeatedly slut shaming Slud. It just sounds like, keep quiet, slut. And it's just like, it sounds like a really quite horrible thing. But it always makes me laugh.
It's her accent, I think she's originally from either Sweden or Denmark.
Yeah, but she's putting on a British accent, and it's just there's some weirdness going on. So it just sounds like she's just repeatedly calling him a slut, which is just the weirdest thing ever.
Yep.
It's like almost she's dropping into an episode of EastEnders or something. Yeah, when I write an episode of season 5 in which the Penguin makes an appearance, I'll definitely have to throw in some EastEnders isms, just some terrible uses of British like slang and language. Just at some point in the episode, he'll have to say to a henchman just something like, "Shut it, you slag." Just really stupid British Cockney phrases that are just they don't work anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to see those things come in to an American show. It's like whenever you hear an American character in a show call someone a wanker, it's like it doesn't sound right coming out of an American mouth, I will say this. I love that they actually had George Lazenby on wires. You could tell that wasn't a stuntman doing that landing. I don't know whether it's just the close-up when they cut to Lazenby himself, but if they actually got him on the wires, that's awesome.
When you had the distance shot on it, it definitely was Lazenby.
That's cool. I love that they actually got him to do that, and presumably Ekland as well. And they didn't need to. They could have, just stuck the wig on a stuntman. Nobody would have noticed because the wig is so distracting.
Yeah, and plus the fact that, back then, okay, that was definitely a stuntman.
Yeah. I always love that shot, though, where he does sort of an Ant-Man power thing there. Turns it into a little remote control car. It's just a really cool little moment. Which, again, is another reason why I think, if this character returns, there is definitely potential for that character to have some bigger stuff to deal with, almost become a sort of superhero because he has powers, even if he doesn't look like your typical hero. Yeah, the way they're sort of squealing and they're on the ground like that, they do just look like Power Rangers villains. They even sound like Power Rangers villains. Almost like the putty monsters.
Those feet are just awful.
Yeah. I don't even know why they bother with the feet. Just put boots on them. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
They could have kept the same boots that Jarrell had on. I do think it's a shame the ship is such a crap design, though. I've always thought the ship looks awful.
Well, again, remember the shoestring budget they were on. They couldn't exactly design a Starship Enterprise here.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have added just some little lights on it to like give the impression of windows. Just something, so it's not just basically just a very low poly sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put a bit of texturing on it. Just stick a few little lights along the outside just to give the impression that it's huge and all of that,
Yeah. You
It's
know,
like,
I gotta
if
say,
the Enterprise didn't have any windows on it, the Enterprise 2 would also look kind of awful.
yeah, I
It
gotta
needs
say,
the windows because it's where you get the sense of scale.
the fact that he's sending stuff to himself in the past, obviously there's a recording of this whole episode in there.
Yeah.
So when he comes back to Earth, presumably in season 5 or 6, you know,
he's going to have to
tell
somehow. He could call Superboy, and even though Superboy would be like, "I don't know who you are," he could just be like, "Well, yeah, well, watch this." Just sends him the episode. It'd be kind of similar, actually, to when Lois and Clark did the whole H.G. Wells thing when he appears the second time, because they didn't have memory of the first appearance. He sort of had to remind them, and then he got confused the third time he showed up because it was an earlier Wells who obviously didn't have memory of giving them that memory back. So he's like, "You shouldn't remember that. This is really strange." I love that moment. But then let's face it, I think most people's favorite episodes of Lois and Clark are the H.G. Wells Tempest episodes. Just even the worst Tempest episode is still gloriously fun to watch. Even the sort of Zorro Robin Hood one, which isn't very good. It's fun just because it's Tempest. Yeah, but there they go, fading away.
H.G. Wells.
Yeah, they did, because they couldn't get him the second time, which is why, he's so much older the second appearance. And then they had to throw in that extra line when they got the original actor back to say, "Oh no, I'm a younger version. He's obviously from my future." So it made some sense, I like that they did it.
Yeah, one of the actors who played him was Bernie himself from Weekend at Bernie's.
It was indeed. Of the two, I think he's the one that appeared twice, if I'm right. I think it was the other one that was the single appearance. But so nice little ending. You go back and it's just before Clark's birthday again, and he's going to go to Smallville, and this time then he's not going to get kidnapped.
Yeah, the only thing is even though it's a nice ending, it still has the old Dallas Bobby comes out of the shower feel to it.
Yeah, it's always slightly irritating when any show pulls the it was all a dream card, or none of it happened because we prevented it kind of thing. And it's just, I always prefer there to be some sort of middle ground. It might have been kind of cool if after that scene that we just ended the episode with, maybe Clark would see that he's got a letter that wasn't there from last time, and maybe it's got like alien writing on the front, so it's like Slud is writing to him to tell him what happened or something. Just some indication that some memory will continue on,
or maybe just in Clark's case, just that old deja vu feeling, like
this feels so familiar before. Something just an indication that maybe there's a subliminal thing going on. That could have been fun. But all in all, it's not a bad episode. I would say that part 2 is not as strong as part 1, but I do think it has some really good stuff in it. I like the bit where the van, like the truck thing, gets miniaturized. I like when Clark uses his heat vision and exposes under the grass pieces of the starship. I think that was quite cool. I like when he bounces off the force field. Yeah, it's got some good moments. It's just part 1 was just slightly stronger, just because I think, especially for the two of us, I think we prefer those character moments over the action sometimes.
The only problem that I have with the using his heat vision to expose pieces of the starship, he's burning away the dirt and exposing wires and such, but there's more dirt underneath it. They really should have dug a deeper hole and then put like a box inside, and then put the wires and pipes and such. It would have looked better. But that's just me nitpicking.
Yeah, that's probably just a time and budget thing, where maybe they just didn't have as much time to set up the shot as they needed. it was obvious that they were just basically reusing parts. They probably just had a load of pieces that they had in the workshop and was like, let's just throw something together. It doesn't have to look pretty, because obviously it's implied it's a much bigger, it's a much bigger thing. But
what you were saying about the aliens design, again, the faces, they don't seem to move, but again, that could just be the fact that they are wearing full body masks and such. The feet on it, as I pointed out, look awful. But from here down to, let's say, the ankles, it looks great. They look very alien, very, very otherworldly. But from
the way
here
they've got
up,
yeah.
But from here up, and then from ankle down, it just doesn't look right. It's
and it is a shame with the feet, because they could have just kept Jarrell's boots from the other costume.
Yeah.
Even if we don't like those boots particularly, it would have been fine. Maybe it would have even explained why the boots were different if the boots are the only thing that remains the same. That could have been something. But I do think overall it's quite an enjoyable episode. We will rate them both now out of 10. I wouldn't give this more than maybe a 7.5 personally. How about you?
I would, if we're gonna do a rating of the two of them together, I would agree it's a 7.5. If we're gonna rate part one on its own, I would say that's closer to an 8, if not an 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I would say part one's an 8, part 2 is a 7. So
yeah. So together, split the difference. It's a 7.5 for the two of them together.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some great stuff in part 2. Stacy's acting, as always, top notch.
Best performance of the episode in part 2 when Andy's dead. Absolutely.
I would, as far as the rating on the episodes, if we're going to do both episodes together, I would say definitely it's a 7.5. Okay. Because part 1 is a stronger episode, if we would give that its own rating, I would go with an 8 for that. It's a definite 8 for that.
Yeah.
Part 2, that's a 7. So I guess splitting the difference between it, adding them together, it's a 7.5 for both episodes together. There's moments that are absolutely great in, part 1. There's a few moments that are great in part 2, and especially Stacy's acting. I mean, it's top notch. That the emotion on her face, and this just shows how much of a talented actress Stacy really is. She's not phoning in her performance here. And I mean, even the way the makeup department, mussed up her hair. It looks like she was crying and holding her face and then just doing the old, run her fingers through her hair because she's upset.
It almost, with the hair being so messy, it almost looks like she's been up all night crying. Like it looks like she's really tired from crying. And that's just, it's all credit to her as an actor. I mean, I'm sure makeup had something to do with it too, but it wouldn't matter if her performance wasn't so solid in that moment. Yeah, I thought she played that scene remarkably well.
Yep. Gerard does a great job, as both Clark and Superboy. I mean, the moments where they're sitting down on the ground and he's saying, look, I couldn't tell you. I wanted to tell you, and yet I can't because, and it's almost like he's ready to say, because I don't know if you will love me for me or if you love me for him. It's almost like that's what he wants to say, but he can't because deep down, he doesn't want to say something that would be hurtful to her.
Yeah.
And, again, Britt Ekland and George Lazenby, solid performances from both of them. They do this the switch from good to evil like that, but there are moments where you can see that there's something a little off, you know?
Yeah. It's quite subtle at first, and I really appreciate that. It would have been far too easy for a show like this to have, a shot where they dramatically turn towards camera looking all evil, and it's just like the dun 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 music starts to
Yeah, the
go, and
old
it's just
twirling of the mustache bit.
yeah. And I'm so glad that they didn't go down that route, because let's face it, with Superboy, subtlety isn't always Superboy's strength. There's a lot of
Yeah.
very unsubtle Superboy villains. But it's nice that not every villain is that way. It means that every villain has their own sort of personality and style. And I thought they did a really good job with that.
Yep. And the actor who's playing Slud, yeah, he doesn't have much to do, but even he puts in a solid performance.
Yeah, definitely. And as I say, it would have been nice to get him back at some point for another episode, but not the end of the world, I suppose. I do have to wonder whether the actor had the bleached hair, or if that's something that they did on the show. Because it's funny, in the 80s, like, people did just bleach their hair blonde for some reason. I don't know. I guess it was just the style. It was bleached hair, perms, and mullets. Pretty much that's how you can sum up the entire 80s in terms of hair. So
Bleached
I do
hair,
wonder if it
perms,
was,
mullets, and big hair.
yeah. So I do have to wonder whether it was the actor that just had that hairstyle, or if it was something the production did. I imagine it was the production, just to make him look slightly more otherworldly. But yeah, interesting. But yeah, I don't have anything else really to say on this episode. How about you?
I think we've pretty much established it. Again, the problems that I've pointed out. The little bits of costuming that are bad. A little bit of wonkiness here and there. It goes without saying.
Saying that on the costumes, I do appreciate that the alien costumes bodysuits had sort of bizarre padding to sort of give the impression of an alien physiology. I thought that was a nice little detail. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we've beaten this horse to death already.
Indeed. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to tune in again next week. Not sure what episode we'll be doing a commentary for next week. We're just going to see what we fancy. So
Yeah, or maybe we'll go back to our spotlight on Metallo.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be fun. What is the next Metallo episode? Is it Threesome?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be watching that relatively soon. Is Vexman in Threesome?
Yes.
So we may, if she wasn't introduced in that episode, we may have to do the episode where she's introduced next week.
That's where she was introduced.
Oh, it was. Oh, that's fine then. Get straight into it.
Although the actress who plays Vexman, Justina Vale, did make an appearance in a previous season 3 episode of Superboy.
As a completely different character.
Well, I'm not too sure, although I think it is technically the same one, but not the same one. It was Road to Hell.
She's the Vexman. She was the assistant of Winger in the timeline where they monitor the other timelines. Is that right? She's the one that goes, he's not been very cooperative.
He's also not breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really think that was our first appearance of a Vexman, just not the Vexman.
Just not the one. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Road to Hell. We don't need to watch that one straight away. We are going to do another commentary on Roads Not Taken at some point before we loop back around and start from season 1 in order. So maybe we'll watch those 4 back to back kind of thing and just get them all done as one big chunk. Maybe we'll save it for the end, since that 4-parter is seen by many as the best storyline in the show.
Honestly, I think we shouldn't do it all as one chunk. We should do it.
Oh, it won't release at the same time, but it'll just, like, each episode will release back to back over the course of let's say a month. It's 4 episodes, so 4 weeks. Yeah. we'll we'll have to see if there's some sort of fun name we can come up with for the month. I don't know. We'll come up with something just to make it a theme. But
Okay.
maybe we'll even do a bonus episode that month, and we'll do a multiverse episode from one of the other DC shows. Like maybe we can watch that Super Friends episode, the one you said was the first one to actually introduce multiverses.
Universe of Evil.
That's the one. Maybe we'll do that as a bonus episode that month. That'll be fun. Just because I've never seen it, you know. People that have been watching for a long time know.
It is a very good episode. It has moments where you can kind of feel that there's something off, but it is a very good episode.
Yeah. You know, people that have been watching for a long time know I'm very picky when it comes to animation. You know, I'm even Superman the animated series and Justice League I've not seen all of, just purely because I'm not a huge fan of the animation style, like the Bruce Timm giant shoulders look. It was just never really my thing, even if the stories are great. So it is actually kind of fun that we are slowly going back, and I'm, you know, basically you're introducing me to different parts of Superman and DC history that I'm not familiar with. So that'll be fun. That'll be a nice little bonus episode to tag on the end of that month. Just don't quite know which month that'll be yet. Maybe we'll make it this year's Christmas thing. That would be fun. But thank you all so much for watching.
Having an idea.
Okay.
If H.G. Wells's birthday has not come up yet, the month of his birthday, we could do the Rhodes episodes. Because
when was H.G. Wells? Indeed. September. So
I think we got the month of September planned.
Yeah. I did not know this. H.G. Wells and me have the same birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. September 21st. Over 100 years between us, but I did not know that. I share a birthday with H.G. Wells. Holy shit. That's nice. You'd think I would know that, because years ago, do you remember on Facebook, it used to be, there was that thing where you could click a button and it would tell you all the celebrity birthdays. H.G. Wells never came up, and it should have.
Yes, it should have.
Absolutely. But maybe we'll do that, and who knows, maybe the following year for H.G. Wells' birthday, maybe we'll make it an ongoing thing. The following year, we'll just watch the 2 or 3 episodes of Lois and Clark with the character as well. That would be a nice little bonus, because we do touch on Lois and Clark from time to time, don't we? So yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. See you next week. Goodbye.
Viacom.